Smith.
Here.
Benny McCall.
Here.
Judge Adams.
Here. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, and Chet, if you want to lead us in prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord of Lords, King of Kings, I ask you to bless this meeting as we go forward. Thank you for the folks that sure that's interested in our county, Lord. Lord, bless our veterans. Lord, we've had a lot of death in our county in the last few weeks. Bless them families, Lord. Lord, bless the shut-in wherever they be in the sick. In your name, amen.
Amen. I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening. Appreciate the big crowd. First thing we'll do is approve the minutes of the previous meetings. We've got a special called and the regular.
I make a motion we accept the special call meeting of January 17th,
Both of them together.
and Monday, January 21st.
Call robot.
Benny McCall. Shady Smith.
Yes.
Maverick Cook.
Yes.
Sherry Sexton. Yes. Jack Banks.
Yes.
Judge Adams.
Yes. We'll move along to the public comment. Anybody sign up there, Bobby? No public comment. Okay.
We would have said something, but we were all afraid to.
I won't throw you out, Bill.
You ain't gonna throw me out?
Have any committee reports? Harry?
Harry Collins, Letcher County Broadband Board, and just to update you, we had a meeting last week at Campbell Springs Community Center, Line 4, and we are seeking diligently after an ARC power grant right now for the building of infrastructure for broadband development in the Line Fork area. Our next meeting is next Monday night at Letcher Middle School, open to the public. If you live on the backside of Oskaloosa, or you live near the Letcher Middle School area, back toward Line Fork, I'd like to invite you to come and be with us in that meeting. We have our polygon that we're looking to provide service to, and we'd like to invite you to come out and we have a survey that we'll have at that meeting. It's actually went home, thanks to Sherry, with the students at Letcher Elementary, Letcher Middle School, and Cowan Elementary for broadband advancement, looking at going a step beyond residential, looking how that broadband is an economic driver of the community. I was sharing at the meeting that I'm involved in a email group with the Kentucky Highlands organization, and there was a guy that posted on this email service that he wished that people would quit talking about broadband being the basis for economic development. And I was in a funeral. I was sitting in a funeral, so I jerked out my telephone and I went to work on an email reply in that funeral because he made me mad. And I told him, I said, there were the same people as you that sat in the 1930s and said the same thing about railroad tracks in eastern Kentucky. Broadband is just as viable to economic development in 2019 as railroad tracks were for eastern Kentucky in 1930. So we want to make this happen for the Line Fork area. because when we went through the feasibility study that was done with the 5-county area and looked at Letcher County respectively, Line Fork was an unserved area. And that's where we started our efforts, and that's where we want to start our project, is in the Line Fork area. I'd like to invite everybody out to Letcher Middle School next Monday night, 6 o'clock. Come and let's talk about broadband. Thank you.
Have you got any of them surveys with you?
Got some in the truck.
You've got a few people that's in that area here tonight.
Okay. All right. I'll go get some.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, Harry, what time is that meeting start? 6, regular time?
Yep.
The Letcher Middle School. We'll move along to new business. This time we'll open the bids for the Whitco Loop Bridge repair. We got one bid for that. Got a bid here from Greg Hale Construction. Bid for Whitco Bridge abutment repair, removal and disposal of debris lodged against the center pier, $4,500. 48 yards of concrete placed at $900 per yard. To form, install 2 mats of number 5 steel on 1-foot centers, approximately 48 yards of concrete. Bedrock needs to be drilled 18 to 24 inches deep, minimum of 1-inch steel placed into the bedrock footer. Total of $43,200 on that. 350 tons of class 3 channel lining at $40 per ton is $14,000. 50 tons of number 2 stone placed at $35 per ton is $1,750. 25 tons of DGA in place at $35 per ton, total of $875. Clean up and seed and mulch all disturbed areas, $2,500. The total price, based on the requirements by the road foreman, $66,825. You got anything to add to that, Jason?
Greg looks like he's met all the requirements that I had asked for. By what I had asked all my potential bidders to do, Greg has done all that, and price seems fair to me.
Any comments on the court?
Need a motion.
We probably need a motion to accept that bid.
I make a motion that we accept the bid from Greg Hale Construction.
I see.
Call the roll, Bob.
Chetty Smith,
Yes.
Maverick Cook,
Yes.
Sherry Sexton, Jack Banks,
Yes.
Benny McCall, Judge Adams.
Yes. And we'll try to get that on the way just as soon as possible. We'll get that bridge fixed.
Weather's an issue for Greg right now. The river's up so high, he can't do anything right now.
That bridge is inconvenience to me, same as my neighbors. So I promise you this week.
Get on it pretty-
My head off what we're-
Appreciate it, Greg.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Greg. We're getting a lot more rain this week.
Next thing on the agenda is the debt service account for the courthouse.
evening, lady and gentlemen. I want to talk to you guys about two of our accounts. After our last fiscal year 2018 audit, the auditors had requested that we close these two accounts and put the money remaining in these accounts in the general fund. These two accounts came about in the late 90s when this courthouse was remodeled, and it was financed through USDA. USDA required at that time to have these accounts. They wanted to make sure they were going to get paid back for the courthouse. And right now we still owe $1,930,000 on the courthouse. Also, you guys have probably seen that every month we write a check out of the general fund to the depreciation reserve account for $2,560. That was also something that USDA required. And what's been going on with that is write that check out of general fund and you deposit it in that depreciation reserve account every month. So this is what I'm proposing to the court, that we close both of these accounts. We made our last payment with the principal and the interest in January. It was $245,426.88. Okay, after that payment was made, we have $102,102.26 left in the debt service account. After interest was received on the January bank statement, we have got $30,791.38 in the depreciation reserve account. What I would like to do is, well, actually, two reasons to not only satisfy the auditors, but we've got to the point now that there's really not enough money in these accounts to really keep these separate from the general fund, because they have to take that out and reflect that on our fourth quarter report every year anyway, this actual money, since these are not major funds. So if we close these accounts and transfer the $102,000 and the $30,000 to the general fund, and then I would propose that we would continue, even though it wouldn't be writing a check, continue to put the money in general fund, kind of, how could I say that? Like, we're going to hold this money just for courthouse payment only, because it's not going to be able, I mean, we've got to have the money to make the courthouse payment. So keep this money separate. I will reflect that balance every month on the treasurer's report and add $25.60 to it. Because at the end of 12 months, that's actually saving $30,720 that you can add to your money that you're going to be getting as rent from AOC. At right now, we get 2 electronic payments a year from AOC, $64,000 each, so that's $128,000. We get 3 paper checks from AOC, $22,073, so that's $66,219. So we potentially will get $194,000 a year that we will keep in general fund. Add it to that balance. It'll be reflected on your treasurer's report every month. And then when it comes time to make these payments, July is interest only, it's $33,678.13, and in January it's $247,505.63. So I think if we go ahead and move that money to general fund, keep up with it separate, we'll be safe on having that money to make that payment with, and you guys will be able to see where the balance stands every month when I do the treasurer's report. Does that all make sense? Okay.
And that was all per request of the auditors.
Yes.
That's the way they wanted it for their.
And I really understand that now. I understand why we did it that way so many years, but the money is getting less now. So we can keep it in general fund, which is still an interest-bearing account, so we're not going to lose any interest either. So it makes sense to me to go ahead and do it that way.
Do we need a motion to do that?
Yes.
I'll make the motion that we follow the recommendation of our auditors.
Have a second.
I'll second.
Call the roll, Bobby.
Jack Banks,
Yes.
Sherry Sexton,
Yes.
Chetty Smith,
Yes.
Benny McCall,
Yes.
Maverick Cook,
Yes.
Judge Adams.
Yes.
So next month's treasurer's report will reflect that that money's been moved and it's being held in general fund.
Thanks, DJ.
What's ALC?
The administrative office of the court. What that is the
Okay.
state offices,
It was AOC.
they pay the county rent, yeah, for using the courthouse. Yeah.
Next on the agenda is the Sheriff, Mickey Stites.
Good evening. How is everyone?
Good.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Everybody in the crowd doing okay tonight? What I'm on the agenda for is I'm requesting some reimbursement for some training that I received for new sheriffs in December. I paid out of pocket. The actual training cost me about $1,500, but all I'm requesting back is $725. That's the fee for the class that we took.
The actual training cost.
Yes.
We have a motion to
Um,
reimburse the sheriff back. A second.
I'll second.
Maverick Cook,
Yes.
Chetty Smith,
Yes.
Benny McCall,
Yes.
Jack Banks,
Yes.
Sherry Sexton,
Yes.
Judge Adams.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The second thing we have is actually Sheriff Webb. He had auctioned off some cruisers, and I believe Mr. Randy Hammonds has paid the court $2,000, and he gave that check to DJ, and we're requesting that that be returned to Sheriff Webb and Ms. LaShawna Frazier so they can close out his accounts. He has to have that so he can pay back the $110,000 he owes the state. I think he's $1,600 short. So once Ms. Frazier gets that check deposited, she can pay off that loan, and that'll allow us to get our money. Unfortunately, we've been operating the first 45 days I've been in office without the state advancement loan, and we're keeping our head above water, but we're getting close. With the monies that we received from you all, we really appreciate it. It's allowed us to operate so far, and once we can get his loan paid off, I think he has to close out by KRS March the 15th. Once he does all that, I can apply for the loan and get it deposited in my account so I can continue to operate on a daily basis and hire a couple more deputies.
They were surplus through the sheriff's office.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Sherry Sexton,
Yes.
Maverick Cook,
Yes.
Chetty Smith, Benny McCall,
Yes.
Jack Banks,
Yes.
Judge Adams.
Yes.
And we might have to have a special call meeting so he can, would actually probably be me and LaShawna that reports that to the court to close out, because I think by KRS, he's required to do that by March the 15th. Our next regular meeting is March the 18th. So we might have to ask for a
Just
special call meeting.
let me know when and we'll schedule that.
Okay. Thank you all.
Will that help them with them getting done to do these things?
Just whenever they get ready, we will. Thanks, Sheriff. Next thing on the agenda is Dennis Wayne Fleming for the outgoing sheriff's tax settlement.
I'm here to present the outgoing sheriff's settlement. This is a different settlement than Dennis Rose-Hines just spoke about. He's talking about his fee account. This is just the tax settlement for 2018 that I'm doing. And I know, most of you guys are new at this and you haven't seen those things before, so if I may take a few minutes just to kind of explain the way this process works so you understand. I included a little thing in the report I gave you that kind of explains it, but just to maybe help clarify a little bit. Every year the taxes are set to January 1, and then sometime usually in October the bills are actually sent to the sheriff's office. He collects them for whatever time period he feels is necessary to collect as much as possible, which is usually 4 or 5 months. In that time, then he has to make a settlement with you folks and all the special districts and the school districts to show what he collected and what he's paid to them. This is a little different because obviously we have a new sheriff beginning in January, so Danny was only collected taxes for 2 months, November and December. So we had to do an interim settlement to show what he collected for those 2 months and what was turned over to Sheriff Steins for the balance of it. Is that with me so far? So this is what this report does tonight. He has to have this approved by you before he can settle his affairs with the taxing part of his accounts, not the fee account that Sheriff Stein spoke of. But he can't settle his accounts with the state until it gets this approved by you folks. And I just want to go over this just briefly. We're going to turn to page 3 in this report. And just so you know too, this is not an audit report. I just simply compile the numbers that he has for the settlement. The state auditor will come along at a later date and do an audit on this settlement. But that has nothing to do with what we're doing now. This has to be approved by you so we can settle his affairs with the state. So if you look on page 3 in the third column, then the one that says county, the top part of that page shows what was charged to the sheriff. That's the bills that he received back in October or 1st of November, I think, this year. And they total $878,214. You see there were some discounts given, some few exonerations, and some refunds. And then the big amount there, the $184,826. That's the amount of the bills that were not collected by the end of December that are turned over to Sheriff Steins, and he's not collecting what he can of those bills. Sometime in April, May, or June, whenever he determines that he's done all he can do, there'll be another settlement for January 1 through whatever time he finishes his collections. But for this one, out of the $878,214, you can see that he collected $674,547. His commissions of $28,725 and $645,822, of which he paid to the fiscal court $645,869. He shows that he overpaid by $47, but again, it's going to to see if that's the exact number or not. The first column of that page is the total for the entire county and the school districts and all the special districts and everybody. But the part that pertains to you is that third column. And again, this is just again so you can accept this report or not, so he can settle his affairs with the state, and Sheriff Steins can continue on with his tax collections. Anybody has any questions that I can answer?
We have a motion to accept the sheriff's tax settlement.
I make a motion to accept it.
I second.
Harry Sexton? Yes. Jack Bank?
Yes.
Shady Smith?
Yes.
Maverick Cook?
Yes.
Benny McCall?
Yes.
Judge Adams?
Yes. Next thing on the agenda is resolutions dedicating certain roads in honor of our veterans. Okay.
I'm just gonna kind of do them all at once, that's all right with you guys, and kind of bottle it up in one vote. These are resolutions of the Letcher County Fiscal Court to name certain roads to honor veterans of the United States military service. Whereas citizens of Letcher County have contributed their time in the United States military to defend our nation's freedom. And whereas Letcher County wishes to express their gratitude by honoring veterans, and whereas Letcher County wishes to take the appropriate action to have certain roads properly named in honor of said veterans. Now therefore be it resolved that all appropriate action be taken that the following listed roads, a name be placed at the Sycamore Loop in Jeremiah, Kentucky in honor of Private David D. Henson, World War II veteran, 7 Bronze Star. Now therefore be it resolved that all appropriate action be taken that the following listed road, the name be placed at the Sycamore Loop in Jeremiah, Kentucky in honor of James Madison Smith, World War I. Now therefore be it resolved that all appropriate action be taken that the following listed road, the name be placed at Sycamore Loop in Jeremiah, Kentucky in honor of Willie Dean Smith, World War II. Now therefore be it resolved that all appropriate action be taken that the following listed road, the name be placed at Sycamore Loop in Jeremiah, Kentucky in honor of Henry Smith, Korea. Now therefore be it resolved that all appropriate action be taken that the following listed road, the name be placed at Sycamore Loop in Jeremiah, Kentucky in honor of Jake Smith, U.S. Army. Now therefore be it resolved that all appropriate action be taken that the following listed road, the name be placed at Turkey Creek in Halley, Kentucky in honor of Finley Eldridge, World War I MP. Now therefore therefore be it resolved that all appropriate action be taken that the following listed road, Main Street in Blackie, Kentucky, name be placed on the Blackie Memorial Park in memory of Emery Back, 55 U.S. Army. Now therefore be it resolved that all appropriate action be taken that the following listed road, Main Street in Blackie, Kentucky, name be placed on the Blackie Memorial Board in honor of Corporal Wade Whitehead, Battery A, 462nd Parachute Field Battalion, World War II.
I'll make the motion, we accept all them resolutions and get the signs done and put them in place.
Second.
Benny McCall?
Yes.
Jack Banks?
Yes.
Sherry Sexton?
Yes.
Maverick Cook?
Yes.
Chady Smith?
Yes.
Judge Adams?
Yes.
Do done. The spelling wrong on that?
The spelling is incorrect on the agenda.
We will get that correct.
For who?
Emery back.
Okay, is it spelled?
E-M-E-R-Y.
Okay, thank you.
E-M-E-R-Y. We'll get that corrected. We thank you all for attending too. Next thing on the agenda is to discuss the long-term lease with Hemp Hill Community Center. Good evening, folks.
We got friends standing in solidarity.
Some of them are sitting.
Yeah, some of them sitting near me.
When you get over time, you have a lot to say.
I have a letter that I wanted to.
If you want to, Gwen, state y'all's names if you like.
Okay, I'm Gwen Johnson.
Richard Stewart.
Hey y'all, I'm Annie Jane Cotton with the Letcher County Culture Home. Hemphill for 20 years has inhabited the old Hemphill grade school building, as you all know, and we just always had kind of a verbal agreement, although there was a lease floating around somewhere back through the years, but we have recently applied for a grant with the Mountain Association for Community Economic Development to place a rack of solar panels and hardware on top of the building. An engineer has come and looked at the building to make sure that it would structurally support such a thing and to make sure that we were placed so that it would be beneficial to our organization. And we were told by the engineer that we have the perfect setup at Hemphill Community Center for such a thing. We have southern exposure. We don't have any trees in the way to keep the southern exposure light from hitting the building, and he thinks it will help us. I've asked Richard to speak to the reason that we're asking for a long-term lease.
We try very hard to keep the electric bill down. I live next door, so I help control up and down when we have events, put the heat up, put it down. But it's every penny we make goes to the electric bill. Last month was $1,200. This month was almost $1,000. And it takes everything we can do to try to just pay the electric bill. So we hope this may take the burden off us of trying to survive.
There is a payment, and the judge had asked me to speak to the court, and I wanted to say my appreciation to the court for entertaining the idea and trying to help us with this. The letter that I passed out is a letter from Betsy Whaley, who is the executive director of MESA, which is the Mountain Association for Community and Economic Development. MESA is an organization that's been working in the mountains here for about 40 years. And they make high-risk loans that banks won't make. And we realize that we are high risk. I appeal to the court tonight for the long-term lease that Mason is asking for us to have. Mason wants assurance that the county is not going to pull the lease for the building before we can get those solar panels paid for. But as well, we know that the fiscal court wants assurance that we are not going to fold our operations before we get them paid for and leave the county stuck with the bill for them. So this letter, I'm going to read the third paragraph down. This loan agreement will be between Hemphill Community Center Incorporated and Mason. Mason acknowledges that the Letcher County Fiscal Court is not a signatory to the promissory note or other loan documents, nor is Letcher County Fiscal Court providing a guarantee of payments should Hemphill default or otherwise fail to meet their obligations to Mason. It is Mason's understanding that the Letcher County Fiscal Court's liabilities and responsibilities are limited to those found in the landlord-tenant relationship as outlined in the lease to Hemphill Community Center Incorporated. There is a number and an email address for Les Rowe, who is the representative in Hazard for Mason, if any of you have any questions concerning these things. It's always been our dream to maybe be able to purchase that building for the community. But we know that right now with the electric bill taking everything we can rake and scrape, that's not possible. So we're trying to address this, and we would appreciate a long-term lease. They're asking for a 20-year lease, and we promise to uphold our end of that and to make the loan payments. We had a meter installed. We've been about 3 years trying to get this thing in place, and we had a meter installed about 3 years ago that will roll backwards. But that House Bill 100, they keep throwing sprigs in the wheel, and we don't really know how all that's going to go. But we're still wanting these solar panels because we think it will help us. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey y'all. I'm Annie Jane Cotton, and like I said, I'm with the Letcher County Culture Hub, and I just want to come up and speak in support of Gwen and Hemphill, and they have been doing incredible work to make this real. And I don't look at y'all as a high-risk loan, I look at you an investment in the future. There are 3 other organizations in the Letcher County Culture Hub who are also moving forward on solar panels right now. That's Kings Creek Volunteer Fire Department, Apple Shop, and also Homes Incorporated. And so all of us have been working together for quite some time now to make this real and to create a model really for the rest of the state and the rest of the region. And so I think that regardless, this piece is a really important piece for not only Hemphill, but for the Culture Hub, and I would say for the county and the region, in kind of moving us forward and creating these really positive models for our future stuff.
Can I interject just a little bit? House Bill 100 is going to pass, we know that.
Yes.
And they made some adjustments in it. But she can be grandfathered in, I can be grandfathered in under the 1-for-1. In other words, if Kentucky Power is selling a kilowatt for $2, we'll get $2 for what we over. But if we wait till later, then the hit will be adjusted down if we don't get it now. The Public Service Commission will be the one who sets the rate on the House bill. So what we need to do is give her the lease so she can be grandfathered in, and whatever power she creates above what she uses, she gets 100% back, and we will get 100% back. And that's the point. She really needs this lease ASAP.
I think that's a huge part, because if we're working on getting all these installations started either the end of this winter or this spring, and it matters whether or not we get it done by the end of this year. It really, in the end, long term, really matters for how we're able to
make this affordable for people.
And the short-term benefits of that is if we can get it installed early in the year, then we'll have the summer to build up credits toward the winter's electric bills. So as soon as we could get it done, we would love to start construction on it by the end of March. If we could, we don't know at this point, we've got this late in the year, if that'd be possible. We are the home of the Letcher County Coal Miners Monument, as you well know, because you all granted us back control of that, and I want to thank you for that. But we did some polling with the working coal miners in our community, and we were told by them, because we didn't want to do anything that they would disapprove of, and we were told by them that we have to move forward because we have to worry about the future, and the future of coal is unsure in our coal fields right now. And so we have their approval on this as well. So I wanted you guys to know that we did do a thoughtful polling of the coal miners before we even proposed it. And we've got a strip mine operator who's also a retired strip mine operator.
By the way, we're going to start possibly mining some coal above the shop shortly, so.
That's good.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Have you got any comments?
questions?
Do you know about what the payment and overall cost is gonna be?
It's going to be, it's close to $50,000 for our rack. Our rack of solar panels is going to cost less than any of them. And we have to come up with a percentage of that for a down payment. And we're trying to start some efforts to do some fundraising for that. But our payment is going to be between $500 and $600. And with the present electric bill, bills that are rolling in, that's peanuts. So.
Yeah, and I will say also that the Letcher County Culture Hub is working together to do joint fundraising to come up with some of those 30% and percentages that people are gonna need to have for those events. So it's like, we're trying to, if we were private citizens instead of all organizations and community groups, we would be eligible for a 30% credit. And so we're trying to raise the difference of that since we don't have access to that. We're trying to crowdfund and fundraise for that. So we're, and the first tier, we're doing tiered fundraising, just sort of according to a project. And the first tier of our fundraising is that Hemp Hill and Kings Creek are that cost is covered.
Their
So
cost,
that's our first goal.
their cost at Kings Creek would be $45,000 plus, and we're going to Wayne Supply. In case y'all didn't know, Wayne Supply is in the solar business. So we have decided to go with Wayne Supply. I think they may be going with Wilderness Trace.
Yes.
With theirs, but it's still all the latest solar panels you can get, so.
Yeah.
So we were told before the rate increase that happened on January 19th, we were told that we would be able to produce 104% of what we need. Now with the new rate increase, we don't know how that'll be, but anything's better than it has been. So I just wanted to
Did you say Homes Incorporated is in with this too?
Yeah.
They're actually supposed to start next month installing installation.
They
No,
are.
we start Monday.
Well, they start their.
Is that on their office
They're
building?
starting their electric work on it next week, and then the installation pretty soon after, so.
That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I mean, I think one of the things that's really cool about it is that we've come across all these different worlds to come together around this really cool project that I think we're gonna move forward in a beautiful way.
Can I interject one thing for the power company? On the Bill 100, I'm gonna say it. You can't really expect them to allow us using their power poles, their transmission lines, and things without some type of compensation.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason House Bill 100's coming along. They put their power poles in, they do all that. We need, be like if you're hauling eggs, you shouldn't be allowed to haul mine for free and charge
Yeah.
Jack for nothing, you know?
And I think there's been some good compromising that's been going on around that bill too, and I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think.
We're gonna be pleased, but the sooner we get Glenn with the lease, then it's gonna be great
Yeah,
for
I think
everybody.
that's one of the big hurdles for us.
So you are already beginning to,
From what I understand, because I'm supposed to help with mine, Holmes is going to be the installer. They're going to have someone come in and show them. And they hope that they'll be able to become the local installer in Letcher County. I'm also having solar panels put on my property. There's a group of us together to trying to get in Letcher County to try to get solar into our homes.
that's awesome, that's
move
great.
forward.
Well, thank y'all so much.
Yeah,
for the
thank you.
opportunity to
Thank you.
And if any ever wants to buy supper, I'm available.
Jamie, got any comments on that?
Do you see any issue with that?
Yeah, I see an issue and I'm concerned about it, but I hope we can work our way through it. I hate to speak for all the members of the court, but I think most people would be all for that. That's a wonderful idea. Just my legal hat comes on and gets concerned. The county government cannot give the people's property away, even to wonderful people. You know what I mean? So we can enter into leases and short-term leases and things. I'm just worried a 20.5-year lease for $0 exchange can certainly appear to be a giving of the people's property that the county paid for. So the assurances about the lien and stuff, I think is great. Looking through their letter, I just got to determine, is a 20.5-year lease with no money changing hands, is that a giving? Is that legal? If that's legal, wonderful. I think everyone would love to do it. Everyone.
Right.
So I can get an answer to that pretty quick. If you all want to entertain a motion to give Terry the authority to sign said lease, if I can determine that signing said lease is legal, then we won't have to meet again and talk about it again. If I determine, or if it has been determined that such a lease would not be legal for us, then we'll just revisit it at the next meeting or even at that special meeting we talked about. So, and then there may be some way, I don't know, selling it to them or something. It's just a long-term lease like that with no money. Makes a red flag pop up.
What about the Jenkins deal at the old Jenkins High School? It went through, didn't it?
Yeah, but they improved our property. They put over $1 million into the property and made it wonderful.
Well, see, the solar will improve this property.
The solar won't belong to the county, though. It would belong to the people of Enfield community. We don't get those panels. That's part of this, in this land.
Are they non-profit?
Yes, we're a 501c3.
You can't give public property to private entities, whether they're for profit or
No, it
not.
has to be to government.
Yeah.
Or exchange like that.
I think everyone wants to see this happen.
Yes.
Just have to figure out how.
Well, I'll make a motion that if we could pass the legality standpoint of it to do that lease.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a great idea, and I know we all appreciate what you guys do. You're a warming station for us and everything else throughout the county. You do a lot of good work, so we appreciate you.
That needs to include that I have the
Yes.
authority to sign documents.
I'll amend that and make a motion to give Terry the authority to sign the lease upon passing the legality.
Margaret Cook,
Yes.
Sherry Sexton. Yes. Jack Banks,
yes.
Benny McCall.
Yes.
Chetty Smith.
Yes.
Judge Adams.
Yes. And thank you all. Next, we're going to discuss the amending and first reading of the amendment to our administrative code for the county. Our current code that we're going by has got a lot of gray area, or how would you say, Jamie?
It's just the same thing, two different ways.
Contradictory. Yeah. So we've researched and actually come up with a different administrative code, and I just want to bring that up for discussion, and if we can maybe pass the first reading on that administrative code tonight.
Is this gonna work as a personnel policy for our employees?
It's a combination of both.
personnel policy and administrative code, yes. Which is
Has
kind
our
of-
employees seen this?
We will make that available to them. I'm not sure if all of them has looked at it or not. And all this does really is it clears up a lot of language that could be interpreted either way, and it just makes it more of a legal document.
I went to, when I was first elected to do this job 8 years, I guess I was elected 9 years ago, but 8 years ago, our very first training, they said, if you want to protect your county and your members of your fiscal court, you have to assure that your policies are correct and good and that you follow those policies. So, you know, me, young guy, taking notes and everything, and I come back the first day on the job, I was like, where are our policies? And they looked like they was typed on an old typewriter in 1985. And so I was like, oh, wow. So I was like, we need a new one, we need a better one. So starting then, 8 years ago, I found in KCO, which is the people that insure us, who defend us when we're sued against our insurance, said we have a model recommended administrative code that we recommend every county adopt. So we got a copy of that, and Terry indicated he was concerned about our policies right up front. We started working on this before the first of the year. He took that model code and went through it line by line and compared it to our current policy and made some changes and worked some things in to make it work. And so we've got it kind of distilled down to this simple version, so that my first charge was make sure your policies are good. If we get our policies good, then we follow these good policies, and we should be less subject to liability for things that we do. I think it's a good idea to do what pretty much about every other county in the state does, is this model one. And if the first reading, I can read a summary of the first tonight. We can obviously make amendments between now and the second reading when it goes into law. Get Chitty, talk to the employees. You guys talk to the employees. Look at
I read it. It's a good one, but I feel that our employees needs to be able to see what we vote on too.
anything that y'all are concerned about that pops up with you all, give it to us. We can have it talk about it. We can amend it and make that happen before it becomes law.
This one's so much more concise, easier to understand.
Well, it'd say, we'd be talking, we'd be looking at this one versus ours, and on page 9 in our old, it'd say this, and it'd say the exact opposite toward the end of it. So what is our policy on that? It's both.
But even after the first reading was to have a month before we actually
Yes.
pass it into
Yeah.
law.
And we can make sure.
It's gotta have a second reading, and it's gotta be
And you gotta-
published.
And the employees can get a copy of it.
Yeah, gotta give us a month.
Yeah.
And a copy of it will be available at the county judge's office for anyone.
Yeah, anybody that wants to read it. It's kinda lengthy, so.
I actually finished it up last night. It is a good,
It's a very good one.
but I want the employee to be comfortable with it too.
Yeah, I feel good about it. I
Yeah.
think it'd be a good change for us.
Do we have a motion to amend our administrative code to read as the K code?
Let me read this summary.
Okay.
This is an ordinance of Letcher County Fiscal Court. I'm just going to number it, ordinance 2019 number 1. I don't believe we passed an actual ordinance, have we, this year?
No.
So it's ordinance number 1 of the year 2019, adopting an administrative code, repealing the previous ordinance administrative code, first adopted in July the 2nd of 1995, and revised and reapproved yearly. Be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Letcher County, Kentucky, that the administrative code and personnel policy previously adopted by ordinance is hereby repealed. The administrative code shall be recorded by the county clerk in total text in the order book of the Fiscal Court of Letcher County, Kentucky, and in ordinance number 2019-1, an administrative code consisting of 64 pages, which is attached hereto and incorporated by reference, is hereby adopted at its first reading on this date and shall be duly published for its second reading.
We have a motion on that.
I make a motion to accept that.
I'll second.
Call the roll, Bob.
Shady Smith,
Yes.
Benny McCall, Maverick Cook,
Yes.
Jack Banks.
Yes.
Sherry Sexton. Yes. Judge Owens.
Yes. Number 9 is, I have to appoint a board member to the LKLP board, and I'd like for Chetty Smith to be that board member.
I make a motion that we appoint Chetty.
I second it.
Sherry Sexton. Yes. Maverick Cook,
Yes.
Shady Smith,
Yes.
Benny McCall?
Yes.
Jack Banks?
Yes.
Judge Owens?
Yes. Number 10, got down here to discuss the cemetery roads, public cemeteries, and public roads and county roads. To spend tax money and the people's money on a road, it has to be adopted into our county road plan. And we have several roads out there that needs to be adopted in, and for us to be able to work on those roads with public funds, we need to adopt those in. That's why I put this on for discussion, and I think the county attorney has some insight on that.
Yeah, most of our county roads are obviously, all of our county roads are county roads, but some of the roads in the county that the public travels every day and have for years and years, a lot of these that go to little cemeteries and things like that, have never actually been formally adopted into the county road system. So, and there have been some concerns about that over the years, and some of these cemetery roads are starting to deteriorate, and my advice to the court is that we can't spend county road aid money to work on a non-county road. How, on our gas, even when you pay your gasoline, part of the taxes goes back to the counties to pay to fund and repair and maintain county roads. We can't use that money to repair and maintain public roads, which goes to these cemeteries and other public things. So there's a process, though. We may have been maintaining these roads for in excess of 15 years. There's a process that we can turn around and then adopt them into the county road system, and then put them in the book, make them officially a county road, and be able to spend that money on it. So we've had road committees in the past. I know Terry and I had talked about it. Maybe we can get some of you guys and the road foremen to identify, and definitely each in your all's district, you want to have some of those roads in your district. Identify what they are. Let's figure out if they are used by the public. Let's figure out has the county been maintaining those roads throughout the years? And if they are, then there's a process that we go through to adopt them. We have a reading at a meeting, we post it at the site of the property, and actually have them adopted and enroll them in. And I think overall it'll help us, because how that road aid formula goes, it's so many cents on the dollar per mile that you have. So as we add, and we're not going to be adding 100 miles, but you add another quarter mile on the end of a lot of these little public roads, I think it's a win-win for us. We just need to identify them, determine if we have or have not been working on them in the past, and then go through the process of adopting them.
So then we can still continue to maintain cemetery roads once we adopt them.
If they serve a public purpose, then we have maintained them.
I think we definitely need to do that, because that's the worst point in people's lives, and they definitely don't need us. I worked at the funeral home over 10 years.
When you're grieving, you don't want somebody saying, oh, I can't help you.
No.
And plus, I've seen hearses stuck in cemetery roads and people having to wade mud up to their ankles, and it's already sad enough, so you really don't need, I think we need to continue to help them what we can.
With that process, we would have to work them roads for 15 years, right, Jamie?
We will have had to have been maintaining those roads, yes, and the public having used them for the last straight 15
That's
years.
cemetery and public road, you're saying, right? 15 years.
Yes.
Okay.
The general, it can't be subject to a private landowner saying, you can't cross here.
Right.
Some people have got, the public has had to have enjoyed that, and we have had to have maintained it. Now, if there are instances that we've not maintained it for that period of time, and the public's not used it for that long, if the landowner wishes to deed us a right-of-way or the road, we can be adopted in part of the county road system. So we're not just pigeonholed on just those roads that we've been maintaining. We'll just need a deed for any other.
Okay.
So if it's not been maintained in 15 years, the landowner would have to deed us that road with a description. Then we could put it into our road plan and be able to work it, right?
Yes.
And either one of these processes is not an overnight process. For the 15 years, if we've worked them for 15 years, what is that process, Jamie?
Well, there's a couple of lawsuits pending in the county right now, and there's always looking for documentation. That's what drives lawsuits, documentation. So Ideally, if you had some documentation that shows, we come up and spread gravel on July the 5th of 2014, I mean, that is the best if we have that. If we don't have that, we have employees that have worked for in excess of 15 years in the road department that may be able to provide us with that information so that we can.
Do we have any lawsuits pending where we've taken care of somebody's cemetery or one of these roads that we maintain previously?
Yes.
We do?
Yes. Yes. We have one that relates to a public road, and then we have one that relates to a county road. It's every issue. So yes, there is currently a pending lawsuit over this, essentially this very issue.
We're just trying to make sure that everything we do is by the book and keeps everybody legal. And for us to put the process for the 15-year thing, what length of time will it take for that process to be a county road?
Well, I think we need a committee to review whether these serve this public purpose and what they've been done. And so it really depends on how quickly they can identify these roads, and we can figure out what each one is. Once we identify them and determine that they meet the criteria, then it's just a matter of passing a resolution, posting it at the road, posting it at the courthouse for 5 days. So it can happen pretty quickly if it meets all the criteria, it's identified and meets all the criteria.
So do we notify the public that we're doing this? Are they aware of what we're trying to do as far as a time span, or we just go ahead and do it?
I guess just we need a committee. We need people assigned to the committee, and that you guys can start working on this from there. If we just can. Yeah.
So what happens if we maintain a road, we've been doing it 15, 20 years, and then next week someone passes away that we need to put gravels up there, what then? I mean, if it's bad and the road is.
My advice is that you cannot spend county road aid money on non-county roads under any circumstance. If we have gravels that are bought from another source of money, for money or equipment, or men paid out of, then we can do that. Short of that, I don't recommend it. I wouldn't advise. I know it's been done in the past. It would have been done in the past, or we wouldn't have maintained these public roads for 15 years.
It's been going on for years,
Yeah.
all over the state.
So all of our
Attorney General opinion from 1980 that says you cannot do that ever.
all of our road aid, our county road money is infused with that state road aid.
I think the word is basically handled with that state road aid money. So.
Yeah. So really, we cannot work those roads until we get them on the county road plan.
We should not be in compliance with the law.
So we need to get started now.
Yes.
Getting them done.
Yeah.
And having said that, I'd like to have a couple of you folks on, as magistrates on that road committee, and maybe the road foreman too.
I don't mind at all.
Chetty, you probably need to be, you know more about the roads than you want to serve on that committee.
Yeah.
And you want to, well, I'll make a motion that we form a road committee and have Jason back, and Chetty Smith and Sherry Sexton on that committee.
I'll be glad to help too.
Jack Banks,
Yes.
Sherry Sexton,
Yes.
Maverick Cook,
Yes.
Chetty Smith.
Yeah.
Benny McCall.
Is the motion just to establish the committee, or is this on the taking care of the roads and what?
It's establishing a committee to check those roads.
I'll say it.
Judge Evans.
Yes.
Did you put Benny on that, or just Chetty and
Two
Terry?
magistrates in the local But I apologize to the people, you know, I'm sure it's gonna cause some inconvenience until we get this sorted out, but, I just wanna keep our road crews doing what's legal, and I wanna keep the court in doing what's legal also, so we'll try to get that took care of as soon as possible. Yes, sir.
So you're saying every road that you've been doing all these years for graveyards, it's gonna have to now be county-owned road before they can work it?
If we're gonna maintain it, they have to be in a county road plan. We'll have to have lengths of the roads, and, you know, they have to
So
be.
the owner of that property will have to sign over.
If, Jamie?
They don't have to.
They-
It's preferable if they do, it's helpful, but there's a term, if you're a squatter's rights,
Yes.
it's essentially a prescriptive easement when the public or the people use a piece of property for 15 consecutive years and the public has maintained it, then we acquire essentially title to it by squatter's rights. So we can do that, but there's two types of road, a county road and a public road. And the only difference is one, there's a piece of paper that the court read that says it's a county road now. So we essentially need to read that piece of paper, determine if it's public and that we maintained it and have a piece of paper on file, because it's now a county road.
So that, it's paperwork, excuse me, drill down. So you're saying that automatically comes with right of way, and landowner has to give that right of way, correct?
They don't have to, we have it. We acquired it by the use and maintenance of it. So we don't have to have anything from the landowner, but if landowners want to come forward and deed it and give it, it just cleans it up. We don't have to have it.
But they don't have to. That was what I thought.
As long as it meets those requirements. We've used it and maintained it for all those years.
That particular road I'm talking about above a big long one up the mountain where I've got a baby buried, that has been maintained for at least 15 years, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank goodness.
I just think the county, I mean, I think that we need to help our people. That's why I run for office, is to try to continue to help, not to cut services. So I want to go on the record saying I think that we ought to do everything we can to continue to maintain and take care of our cemeteries that we've been taking care of and help our people and our roads. I want to go on the record saying that because I know we've discussed this before, different issues. I've talked to several county judges, and you know, it's just something I know that we've always done. I don't want to cut services to our people. I think we need to help them.
I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make sure we get them adopted.
Absolutely, we need to check with every route to make sure that we get them adopted into the county. And whatever amount of time it takes.
There's no more money that we can move over into there that won't relate to road aid money for emergencies until we get this done.
DJ?
Not money from one.
Anything that we can move into the road department.
Can we pull out the general fund? If we were to have an emergency and the cemetery needed to be gravelled, can we do it out of the general fund versus the road aid?
Basically, everything that's in the road department is county road aid money. So I guess that would be a quick decision if you all wanted to use general fund money, but, you know, that goes back to, you know, we gotta watch our general fund to, you know, so we can pay our regular bills, keep our sanitation going, and be able to make the courthouse payments.
And for the record, you know, I'm not sitting here to cut services. I'm sitting here to do what's legal and what keeps us all out of jail. That's the gist of what we're doing here. You know, just because that we've worked a road for X number of years, but if that road is not in the county road plan, we have not worked that road legally. So we can dance around the politics or whatever, but I'm just trying to do what keeps us all legal.
But I think every magistrate in the past has always requested for their district cemeteries to be worked. I mean, if you got somebody that's passed away in your district, they call you for help. I think everybody's requested in the past.
Yep.
Have they not?
They have. Yep.
I just don't think
We just need to get all the paperwork together where we can do it legally and have it in our county road plan and be safe with it.
So once we adopt all these in, then we are legal to
We
go
are.
to these cemeteries, take care of them, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
if they're public cemeteries.
if they're public cemeteries.
Well, money-wise too, if the committee would go ahead and do the legwork and see just how many roads is involved in that.
This is not gonna be no short process.
That's what I was thinking.
No way. This is no more, and we're gonna have several
Do you have
people that need help.
a ballpark number, how many roads you think it will be, Chevy?
I would pray to be even to start.
So you think it's gonna be a lot?
It's gonna be a lot.
So me as a magistrate, Chetty, if I got people in my district that are wanting this done, or they don't know about it, publicly, they need to know about it,
Yeah.
then I have to get to them and make sure that theirs is on the road plan, or going to be put on the road plan.
Yes.
So it's a legwork for the magistrate as well as to make sure you've got them all notified, correct?
Yeah.
I think each one of us needs to go out in our district and look for those roads.
Yeah.
Don't we have isn't there a list of cemetery roads?
There was a cemetery committee that made some books that had a lot of cemeteries
I
in
was
them,
thinking,
but
isn't there
it's not,
4 or 5
they're not on it.
cemetery roads?
Kim did
Is
have,
that right?
Kim did have that up there.
Do we have one, Jason?
We got the books, but there's
They're,
hundreds.
I don't know how,
Hundreds of cemeteries.
yeah, I don't know how, I don't remember the date on them, do you?
They're in the judge's office, or actually, some of them today.
But I don't think any one of those cemeteries, though, Jason, would they, I mean, they don't accumulate to be a lot of miles, it's just a lot of them shorter distances.
Although the mileage is not your problem, it's the legwork on it.
Yeah.
Get out there because somebody has got to go from the end of the existing county road, measure it off. You know, we have to assign a number, get the crowd, I guess, assign a number. It's a big undertaking.
It is.
That's what I'm saying, and it's gonna take us a lot of time. So if we have something happen now, and we've been maintaining these, and somebody needs help, I think we need to figure out a way where we can at least, try to do something for them.
As long as we can do it legally,
Yeah,
you know.
well, I agree with that.
DJ, let's
Yeah,
look in the
maybe-
general fund and see if we've got any excess funds there. To do that, it would have to be, the road worker would have to be paid out of the general fund. And the gravel have to be bought out of the general fund.
About the equipment.
And the equipment that was bought with road aid money could not be used either, right, Jamie?
You just have to hire somebody. You just have to have just a scrap man.
Is
You know?
that the best option, is to hire somebody?
I don't know. I'd have to start.
It would be a
calling.
big undertaking to pull that money aside that it would involve road aid money. You have to look at the equipment and the employees and the rock, the fuel, it's not just as easy as what you think is doing it that way.
See, if we were to that require us to have 2 different tanks, a general road tank, and we want to have a general fund for fuel to keep it safe.
Have y'all always done all the cemeteries? I'm just curious. I'm just moving here and I've never heard of that. But so y'all have always done all the cemeteries?
Public cemetery roads.
So could you just look up the records of the road crews then to try to get some of that information? Would that
Yeah.
help?
Is there records, Kitty?
There you go, for 2 years, I don't know if they
Was
were.
they there when you was there?
They was a list of all of them that we, wasn't all of them, but the majority of them.
Has all the equipment been bought by road aid fund, Chetty? Do you know?
I don't know that for sure. I was thinking some of it's about coal service, but I don't know if all of it's been or not. I can't answer that for sure, Jack.
While we're forming a committee, do we have to quit doing it?
That's what we're trying to determine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the moment, we do.
If they're not in the county road plan, then we can't service. So we need to, what I would suggest that the magistrates is check your cemetery roads, that's the public cemeteries. And let's try to get the worst ones first and get them documented and get the process going. You, Jamie?
Yes, absolutely.
And then, you know, once we get that in order, we can have a special call meeting and get that paperwork started and, you know, try to get the worst ones first. Move forward.
Can I have a road list, county road list? Now somebody might ask, do we have a county cemetery list or not?
There is a book of cemeteries.
Okay. That's probably what I need. If you're going out into your district.
You won't find the four fields in
No, it won't be. It's not been updated.
Just drive around and find them again.
And it's gotta be public cemeteries.
Right, right.
Cannot be private cemeteries.
Right.
Probably 8 or 10 of them.
Any more discussion on that?
In other words, we can't be on that other road to where we wasn't there
Right, Bill.
I agree with what you're saying. I think we need to do everything legal in there.
We can't build another road?
We can build we can work a road to a cemetery. How's that read, Jamie?
On the cemetery, we can't build a road? If it's deeded to the county, if they deed a right of way to the county, we can't build a road?
There's an existing road, right?
No, I mean, if they deed a right of way to the county, and the court votes to take it in, we can't take it in?
Is it to an existing cemetery, existing public cemetery?
Or is it building a road to?
But it does not have an existing road now.
Yeah.
It does not have an existing.
It's
road.
existing cemetery with no road.
Yeah, that's for exactly.
Does it serve the public purpose? Is the distinction?
What if John Doe built a cemetery, buries somebody, and it says it's a public cemetery, and they want to deed us a right of way to that cemetery? Can we take that?
Well, I don't think you should, but if your committee meets and you determine it serves the public purpose and you own it and you want to do it, maintain it, then you can.
Okay.
It's just, we're just cutting costs. Every inch of this road we have, we're just cutting costs on the
Yeah.
county. So,
But I'm like,
that's why you'd say no.
I took his job to help the people, and I know what kind of shape people get in. And I'm all about being legal, I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But,
At the same time, if we got a cemetery on top of the hill, it's gonna cost $275,000 to do a road to it. You know, where do you draw the line? But I see what you're saying.
What's the difference between a public cemetery and a private cemetery? If it's a family cemetery, it's a private cemetery, right?
Right.
So most of these small ones are all family owned, so we're maintaining those roads on them. So how are you gonna determine whether it's public or private? If I can't go up there and put my family member up there, that's private.
That's a private cemetery. Yes.
So what's
the
my-
difference is they gotta agree that anybody can be buried in that cemetery
Yeah. Right.
before you can work.
Whoever owns it
So
or
they can't
controls
turn
it.
anyone away.
Yeah.
Okay, do we ever ask that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a document.
There's several documents on that. And that's probably the shortest one if you can find it. Ken's got one.
This will take us a while.
How did they get away with not having it legal all this many years?
It's kind of like Benny said, we have talked to other counties and they do the same thing. They've done it for years. It's a courtesy kind of thing that we've all done.
I mean, we were at the Capitol the other day, and a judge, you know, we pulled him to the side and we were talking to him about some other things, and I just asked him that question. I said, what do you do about, you know, public cemeteries? He said, we maintain them. You know, we spread gravel so people can get up there. That don't mean they cut the grass and all, you know, everything like that, but they work the roads, you know, allow it to be accessible. But, I mean, I'm all about being legal too, but if there's a legal way to do it, I think we need to do that. I think this is a service we need to continue to offer.
I'm just worried about the merge to that point.
Me too.
Yeah. Because it's gonna take us a while to get that done.
Is there a lawsuit? You said there was a lawsuit about cemetery roads? Like, I can't imagine somebody wanting to sue about cemetery roads instead of something.
People sue about it for about anything.
I'm just like.
Even though you're trying to help her.
We'll move on to the treasurer's report. Ms. DJ.
Here's the treasurer's report for the month of January. The beginning balance in general fund is $564,136.49. We have revenue received of $337,728.63. $547,900.52 in disbursements, leaving a cash balance of $353,964.60. We're hoping in the general fund, the Kentucky ASAP grant, $19,098.50. The litter abatement grant, $40,053.29. That'll be the section that I'll create a new thing for the courthouse payment money next month. After that, I'll get smoothed over. In the road and bridge fund, the beginning balance is $810,145.85. We had revenue received of $88,298.49. Disbursements of $106,565.75 for a total cash balance of $791,878.59. In the jail fund, we have beginning balance of $94,070.91. We've received revenue of $58,791.70. Transferred in $50,000. Total revenue, $202,862.61. Disbursements of $100,809.72 for a total cash balance of $102,052.81. In the LGEA fund, we have a beginning balance of $668,188.36. Revenue received of $226,747.47. Dispersed $94,501.79, transferred out $100,000. Total cash balance $700,434.04. This section at the bottom is new. I'm going to start giving you guys an accounting of the money that we're holding within the LGEA fund for tourism. I do a financial report for them every month also, so if you all would like that full financial report, I can start making that a part of the treasurer's report too, because I usually do that around the beginning of the month for them.
I'd like to see.
That'd be good.
So if you all want that, I can do that. Yes, okay.
Yes.
All right, so holding in the LGEA fund for the Letcher County Tourism and Convention Commission is $5,799 even. In Senior Citizens Fund, we have $227.96. We received 9 cents revenue and no disbursements for a total of $228.05. The Forestry Fund had a beginning balance of $20,111.99. We have received no revenue and had no disbursements, so that is also the ending cash balance. In the Letcher County Public Courthouse Corporation Funded Depreciation Reserve Account, we had a beginning balance of $30,779.65. Revenue received of $11.73, no disbursements. So the ending cash balance is $30,791.38. In the Letcher County Public Courthouse Corporation Debt Service Account, We had beginning balance of $283,411.88. Revenue received of $64,127.26. Disbursements of $10. The state charged us a $10 wire fee, and I've requested a refund of that, but I went ahead and reported that as a disbursement. Because neither bank charges us any bank fees, or they don't charge us for our checks or any deposit slips. So they'll refund that to us. So we had an ending cash balance of $347,529.14. The next page is a recap of your bank balances. We're holding no money within the LGEA fund for special projects. The next page is Dealer Burke's Loans First Commissary Fund Report. And the next page is your sanitation report. And I'm going to tell you guys a couple things that's different about the next two reports. On sanitation, well, the reason why things were added to sanitation and rec center is to give a more clear accounting of actually everything that it's costing every month. So the sanitation, I added the litter warden wages and workers' comp and unemployment. Even though we pay that workers' comp and unemployment one time a year, we pay that in July, well, unemployment in July, August, September, October. The workers' comp is broke down for all the departments, but that's what it would have averaged costing for that percentage, 17.934% for those wages for the month. So that will kind of show you more what it's costing that way, I feel like. So then on the rec center report, the next page, I included the building insurance. That's $14,150 a year. So I just broke that down over 12 months. So that's what will go in every month on that. Also added the salary for the director and workers' comp and unemployment also for the rec center. And then our full-time director now, his health, life, and FEPCO, that's added in. So that's all the changes for those two.
Jay, what are we bringing in at the rec center and how much is going out?
Oh, okay. On the rec center for the month of January, we had monthly receipts of $33,932.83. So that against what we paid out, we cleared $8,648.94. Mm-hmm. Profit, yes. And sanitation, even including the workers' comp and the litter warden wages, which were new this time, it's a negative $29.91.74, but that's still really good. Might not say it's not good that it's a negative, but that's still pretty good for sanitation as long as you are maintaining that service, paying your employees, because the employees, the benefits, all that overhead is a big chunk of money. And then, maintenance on your vehicles and those big packer trucks and all that. So that's really not bad at all.
And also on the recreation center, that does not include the payment.
That's the only thing it doesn't include.
That this is operational cost only. The payment is not reflected there.
How much is that?
Probably around 46,000. Some other 46,000, yeah.
So-
What originally a $7.2 million loan, so.
So this, this is day-to-day cost. This is not the payment. So,
Is it every other cost though?
Yes.
yes, and we're trying to get the most accurate numbers we can get on that. That's why the insurance is added in.
Showing everything, yeah.
It's showing everything, so.
In other words, it would actually lost $40,000 a month.
As a whole, yes.
Yeah, it's about 40, yes.
And may add also that January, February, March, and April is probably the best months for the rec center. Is that right, DJ?
I'd say that is correct. The winter months definitely are.
Everybody's New Year's resolutions to get physically fit comes into play. We have a motion on the treasurer's report.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I'll roll on it.
Kenny McCall?
Yes.
Sherry Sexton? Yes. Jack Banks?
Yes.
Maverick Cook? Yes. Teddy Smith?
Yes.
And Judge Evans?
Yes. The transfers.
Okay, we have 14 transfers. Transfer out of 01-90-200-999, reserved for transfers $25,000 to 01-5001-103, deputy county judge. Transfer out of 01-90-200-999, reserved for transfers $1,000 to 01-5001-441, office equipment. Transfer out of 01-90-200-999, reserved for transfers $2,325 to 01-5015-445, sheriff's supplies. Transfer out of 01-90-200-999, reserved for transfers $2,743.51 to 01-5025-531, sheriff's bond. Transfer out of 01-90-200-999, reserved for transfers $1,000 to 01-5025-599, miscellaneous. Transfer out of 01-90-200-999, reserved for transfers $10,000 to 01-5080-445, office supplies. Transfer out of 01-90-200-999, reserved for transfers $60,000 to 01-5080-578, utilities. Transfer out of 01-90-200-999, reserved for transfers $452.20 to 01-9100-531, bonds for elected officials. Transfer out of 02-9200-999, reserved for transfers $200,000 to 02-6105-431, materials and supplies. Transfer out of 03-9200-999, reserved for transfers $5,000 to 03-5101-559, pharmaceuticals. Transfer out of 04-9200-999, reserved for transfers $500 to 04-5205-403, dog warden expenses. Transfer out of 04-9200-999, reserved for transfers $2,000 to 04-5405-467, recreation expenses. Transfer out of 04-9200-999, reserved for transfers $30,000 to 04-5405-4671, recreation center expenses. And transfer $50,000 from LGEA fund to jail fund.
Have a motion on transfers.
I make a motion, accept the transfers.
Second. Call the roll, Bonnie.
Teddy Smith?
Yes.
Kenny McCall?
Yes.
Jack Banks?
Yes.
Sherry Sexton? Maverick Cook?
Yes.
Judge Evans?
Yes.
Okay, I got one thing before you guys approve roads. Road Department, page 9 of your bills, check number 16435. The payee needs to be Tri-State Electronics. The payee's wrong. So we just need to change that one payee and include that in your motion for approval. Please.
Hear a motion on the bills with a correction.
I make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Maverick Cook,
Yes.
Teddy Smith,
Yes.
Benny McCall,
Yes.
Jack Banks,
Yes.
Sherry Sexton,
Yes.
Judge Adams.
Yes.
Okay, you might need to address the board and.
Come on up. Sure.
Sorry, I'm back again. I've got a bond that we have to address that, you guys, I've got the KRS at the office, it's about $2,700. DJ's got the exact amount
It's on the bill docket.
that you guys are responsible for paying that bond. That allows me to collect taxes and stuff, and we've actually been kind of doing it without that bond, so we need to go ahead and get that check bill paid. That way we can be legal by KRS.
Do we have a motion on the sheriff's bond?
I make the motion.
I second.
Sherry Sexton,
Yes.
Maverick Cook,
Yes.
Teddy Smith,
Yes.
Benny McCall, Jack Banks,
Yes.
Judge Adams.
Yes. So that's already figured in.
So they just have to approve your bond.
It's just like the county judge's
And then
bond.
the county just has to pay for it. Okay, okay.
You've already done it.
Yeah, yeah, the check's on the docket for them to approve that, yeah.
What do you want me to do on this?
Don
Donnie and Bernie's thing. You want me to just give her that copy?
Yeah, that's what I do.
We'll discuss it in the next meeting.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Yeah. Okay.
She's already done all the paperwork and everything. And she's already given us a copy of it. Just they have to
Yeah.
approve the paper.
And you pick that original, right?
Yeah, Sean's got it, 'cause we have it there already.
Okay.
We'll go into old business. The first thing in old business is someone sent $1,000 to the sanitation department back. You want to explain that, DJ?
Oh, yeah. That would have been January of 2018. Got a envelope in the mail. Like, do you have a copy of it there, Terry?
I've got,
Okay.
explain that to him, DJ.
Okay. I don't know, do you want to? Okay. Everybody see, it's just like a regular 5x7 manila envelope. See if there is a date on here. We received it January 24, 2018. It was addressed to Letcher County Solid Waste, and, you know, the address for the judge's office. It had no letter, no note, nothing in it. It had $1,000 in cash in it. And so it's just basically been locked up in the safe since then, and
There was no return address
Yeah,
and
no return
no
address.
documentation. It was just $1,000 in cash that was sent to the. To the-
This year or last year?
2018. We got it January 24 of 2018.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. What I'd like to have is court approval to put this money into the sanitation department. Would that be right, Jamie?
Yeah, yeah. So it's out in the air.
Right.
Craig
That,
and everybody knows about it. I think that's what its intention was to be applied. It may not get applied to a certain individual's account, but
Well, there's no documentation of who it come from or whatever. It's just $1,000 in cash, and we just need to get it into
General fund for sanitation.
into
Okay,
sanitation.
so
Yes.
Could we maybe deposit the money in general fund because that's where all sanitation's money
That's what
gets deposited in, all their bills gets paid out of general fund. And have something specific that you want to pay for, that we'll write a separate $1,000 check out for, you know, be it,
What about
you
the
know,
safety equipment? The
whatever
vest
the
and
court
stuff?
votes for to pay for fuel or,
Yeah, what, we may put that money towards safety equipment for our sanitation workers.
The vest and stuff,
that would be perfect.
because they need them.
That would be perfect.
We've already got those bids. I mean, we've got that part done.
So like, where did those get ordered from, Jackson?
Excuse me,
Where did your safety stuff get ordered
I
from?
think it's a common sign, so I have to look to see.
Okay. Okay.
We have,
Do you know how much it is?
No, it's been a few weeks since we got it, I have to look to see.
Will it be more than $1,000?
No, no, no,
Okay.
You sure that envelope wasn't addressed to the sheriff's office?
That's what I was getting ready to say.
But if we do that to safety, can it stay in it? Because you're gonna have to have them over and over and over until that money's gone.
yeah, that's what
I
we,
think that's perfect.
That's a
And
good
if you
idea.
guys want me to do a separate accounting for that in the general fund on the treasurer's report, I can do that.
And we'll have it in a minute for the audit.
Yes.
I make that motion, we put that money in the general fund for the safety equipment of our sanitation workers.
I second.
We all set with that?
call the roll.
Jack Bank,
Yes.
Terry Sexton, Maverick Cook.
Yes.
Teddy Smith.
Yes.
Benny McCarthy.
Yes.
Judge Adams.
Yes. We have any other old business? Anybody want to discuss anything?
Judge, I want to say I appreciate Jason and them, for coming out when we call and stuff. I know he come out the other day and the road department and everything they're doing right now with all these slides and stuff. I know it's been a mess. And we just asked everybody's patience while we work on it. I appreciate you all. We stood in a thunderstorm the other day, came up there with me, so I appreciate you coming up and sort of.
We've had a lot of road slides in the county, and we've got the potential for several more. And if everyone just be patient with us getting those fixed, we're working weekends and all.
And I won't back being up on that. I've had one that took 2 county roads out at the same time. They've been down there, they've had their hands full, and I appreciate Jason and the road workers.
Yeah.
And the judge, because he's been up there with them.
Yeah, that particular slide, we're already in over 200 man hours on that facility.
And it's not completed. I mean,
It's not done. but
2 county road.
2 at the same
Two
time.
county roads at the same time.
Just in District 4, Jeff.
Two gas
Boy,
lines
Chitty, you
involved.
do it right.
We do, don't we? Listen, I appreciate you.
And he don't know about the other one I'm getting ready to tell him about.
But there's several of them out there, and we're working as fast and efficient as we can to get them took care of.
And our everyday labor, I mean, they've been tied up with emergencies, and we've got potholes and ditch lines,
Road.
covers. But hopefully, they'll get lined up where they can get to them. Just,
We've not,
we're new, we're getting started, just be patient with us.
Unfortunately, we're not doing any preventive maintenance yet.
On account of emergencies.
Everything we're doing is emergency repairs right now. We're chasing our tail. If we can ever drive where we can get out and doing some preventive maintenance, that will help our roads. The ditch lines are full everywhere. It's not just the states is the same way. And that's causing us a lot of issues that we've got to get those corrected as soon as we can.
but when we can get these emergencies took care of, we'll be doing a lot of maintenance work.
Everybody traveling on 7, beware that the bridge at the mouth of Talent Branch, there's a big piece of concrete sticking up real sharp on that bridge. I know it's a state road, but you don't want to bust a tire, you don't want to have
That's
some
at the
kind of
mouth of
bad
Talent
accident.
Branch.
Huh?
Mouth of Talent Branch.
Mouth of
Big
Talent
long
Branch,
bridge,
there, that
the Resco
bridge.
Bridge.
There's a piece of concrete, it's busted a hole out, and that's sticking up real sharp, and it's like a diamond.
I'm over by the state right now.
We'll get with the state right now and get
We
them.
dodged it coming, I hope nobody don't hit it.
And we just ask people to be patient with us. You know, your holler's full of potholes.
Oh, yeah, I know, and I know.
And it's not,
everyone
it's
is trying.
everywhere, it's everywhere.
It takes a while to get it done. We'll try to be as patient, and we'll help as much as we
We
can.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
And we appreciate y'all coming out this evening too.
Absolutely.
We have a motion to adjourn.
I think you've got it.
Oh,
She wants
We
to
got
say
some,
something.
yeah.
I'm not from Letcher County, born and raised, but I've lived here a long time and raised my family. I love this county. Have you really looked at the garbage beside our roads?
We have.
I bought a piece of property in Tennessee. They don't have garbage pickup. There is no garbage. But you can drive past my house and they throw garbage out in my yard. We need to do something. 100 feet from my house is the office pile of garbage ever was, and I live right on the highway.
We have.
We will never get anyone to come to Letcher County because who wants to live in Bill? We need to make a plan and start teaching it in the schools that children should not throw their garbage out the window of the car. Everybody's supposed to pay for garbage to be picked up. Drive up Sandwick, across Holly, and down Holly. It's awful. It really is. It's awful. It's a disgrace for Letcher County.
We have got our litter warden out, and he is enforcing those laws and working at that. And we will clean up Letcher County.
We actually
Oh, gas. There's a trailer that sits up on top of the mountain, and all his milk jugs, it looks like he's growing milk jugs in the trees.
We have our students working on a project to do some infomercials about not littering so that we can show them on the government channel.
But
we feel like if we start with the kids, they might put pressure on the adults to not do that because it's not really our kids that are throwing it.
No, it's not. It's the adults that have not taught the children any better.
I think if you'll notice, when the dumpsters were picked up, the county started to litter up again. I mean, you can ask anyone, when those dumpsters were picked up, the county started getting littered again. I know I don't know why they picked them up, but it's the thing that should be redone in my book. Because I noticed cars that would come by when we had one at the fire department, they may be Tennessee tags, Virginia plates, or Kentucky, or whatever. They'd stop and throw their garbage over in that dumpster. Now that it's not there, it's possible to dig. And I think if everyone would just go back and look, when the dumpster picked up, county dirty.
Terry, I also think that where most of that is state road there, people that just don't have no respect for this area, this county especially. This is Sunshine County, and I love it. Just like my wife said down in Tennessee, you don't see that. People take their trash and recycle to a dump station, which is like 2.5 miles from our house. We split our garbage up, paper here, metal here, recycle here. But where you're dealing with the state as well, and the state right-of-ways, it's just getting piled up, not just trash, but debris as well. So you're creating a double problem right there. I don't expect our children to get out and do road pickups every month and taking a chance of getting hurt. It's not those children's responsibility.
It's not just children. I worked there, Turkey Creek Road, picking up trash one year. Picking it up now. I was picking up alongside the road. This was an adult woman, lived on their holler, and just laughed at me as she went by and threw out trash.
And also, I found needles along my fence off the right of way in our yard.
We've got a serious issue with trash, and really we're the only ones to be held accountable. Our trash don't come in from anywhere else. It comes from the people in Letcher County, and I think we need to do better and be more proud of our county. And,
if you pay a garbage bill, why in this world would you throw it out your window?
Because it's too easy to throw it out it's too easy to throw it out individually, then bag it up and set it on the side of the road to pick up that day.
Yep.
A lot of people don't pay garbage.
We're looking at those too. I think everybody in this county should do their part in paying their garbage bill and keeping our county clean
Right.
and
How
to
do we
work.
If they would, we'd have equipment work
attract
with.
companies and other people here if it looks so bad? So we've got to do better about cleaning it up.
If they come in and see it like you're saying, and
They think, well, they don't respect us.
pride in the school systems.
Yep.
Whatever happened
that's where they need to start, in the schools.
And that's probably something that our new sanitation farmer and needs to go back to our schools and start.
We've already discussed that as a possibility of, I think educating the kids is paramount in getting our county
We're talking
cleaned up.
tourism, constant tourism. You're not gonna get it if you got a filthy county,
Right.
whether it be on the state side or the county side.
It's all us. Yeah. But any input on that in the future, you all are welcomed in the judges.
Take something home, teach the parents.
Yep.
Yes.
Judge, you helped us one year when there was money by the mile.
There still is.
The judge, had on a big pair of rubber boots, and we went to the top of Rock House Mountain, and he was in every ditch, just like the rest of us were, and down to the mouth of Goose Creek, and we picked it up. But then I never knew if that money still existed for that.
It does.
They're nonprofit.
Nonprofits and about any organization in the county can, and it's $100 per mile is what they get.
How do they get on board as judge to do that?
Call Kim at the
Just call Kim
at the
and
road
put it
department.
on the list.
Yep.
We need to use caution because like we said, you've got needles and a lot of things.
It's a lot more dangerous out there, not just the cars anymore.
Yeah.
But we picked up, how many bags that weekend, Gwen?
My goodness, I don't know, it was a lot. We just wore out and muddy as a bunch of hogs.
And then I went right back there a week later, and there was garbage back in the ditch that we picked up.
They come right behind you.
Yeah.
So it didn't,
Yeah,
it was
until
a-
we change people's behavior, picking it up's not really helping it.
we have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Kenny McCall? Jack Banks?
Yes.
Terry Dixon?
Yes.
Robert Cook?
Yes.
Jenny Smith?
Yes.
Judge Owen?
Yes. Hey. Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna be part of the solution now.
When I find myself in times of trouble,